Welcome back to Business Live. You should be on the lookout for our main story tonight. What are we discussing, Sandy?
Yes, that fine on the telcos. I have personally been complaining about the telcos and their poor network services. And finally, the NCA acted. I think it's in the right direction, but we'll have a conversation around it later in the bulletin.
You want to stick around for the guests that will be coming for this discussion, but closely linked, the Institute of Customer Service Professionals has released its Maiden Customer Service Index, which ranked Ghana C in the area of customer service relations. The ranking, which tackled 8 sectors of the economy, also saw Ghana's public sector scoring an F. There's more in this report.
Ghana ranked C in the latest customer service index, with the telecommunication industry scoring 4th below the retail, hospitality and online sectors. Yvonne Ohui is Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Customer Service Professionals.
C is not where we want to be, especially now that we're talking about drawing in investors and, being weaned off public foreign funds and all that. I think we can do better. If you look at the sector scores, if you look at the public sector, for example, they scored a D, which I think is unacceptable. It's not something you can even talk about. So as a nation, the C is not good. There's a lot we can do to make it better. However, you still saw that we have some key players who did quite well.
Following recent sanctions by the NCA of some 4 telcos for failing to meet quality of service requirements, players in the industry have been urged to invest heavily in the customer service.
The overall feeling, a C is never a good thing for customer experience.
What is it that the telcos are getting wrong?
They're getting the whole thing wrong. When you're paying for a service, you expect the service to be good. You expect to have a good experience. One of the things that we know is that you're dealing with technology. So, of course, once in a while when there are measures or integrations, there'll be problems. But the question now is, how do you even inform your customers before these things happen? Whilst they're happening, what are you doing to make sure that your customers are okay? So it's not so much what they're doing wrong. It's their understanding and willingness to do what is right.
How many of you feel shortchanged by the service providers in the country today? Just show it by hand. If you feel shortchanged, yeah, as in you give him much more, but you get less. Just show it by hand.
I think I deserve more.
All of you do feel shortchanged. Okay, but we have been sitting through the presentation this morning. We've had the customer service index being outdoored, and we've had understanding that the telcos industry scored a C, and we're even having customer loyalty move into the negative. How concerned are you, first of all, to you as a startupper?
Well, I'm very concerned because they hold an important segment of the economy, infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure. I mean, they provide a technology through which we communicate to other people, to clients,
Everything boils down to leadership. And for me, I think this country, our real problem is something I called LME. That is leadership, management, and egotism. We are all enrolled in University of Ghana. And now, at the end of the day, we are schooled and we are not educated. Where do we go as a country? And that is my problem. That is what NCA is doing now.
What I would say is that it's all about regulation. If we have the regulation there and it's enforced, we'll get them to work and we'll deliver the best that we want. And so I believe it's all about, and the NCA putting a lot of tightening its belt and making sure that this doesn't just end here as just one thing and then we go back and then sleep. But yet still we are on them to make sure that they deliver the best that they could, because we value it and we expect that from them.
As it stands now, people are just not perturbed about what happens to these telcos. As they say, they're not surprised. Services are very poor. There's more to be done, and of course more investment would have to be intuited in this very regard. For Joy Business, I'm Charles Aite reporting.
Well, government, in a bid to make housing more affordable in Ghana, says it is working to incorporate locally produced materials in its affordable housing project. Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Frida Prempe, made this known at the Capital Market Conference organized to mark the 20th anniversary of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
It's day 2 of the Capital Market Conference. Now, yesterday saw stakeholders come together to discuss a number of issues, including how to finance Ghana's agriculture sector, as well as discuss the role of the capital market. Today, we've seen several people mount the stage to talk about how we can improve our real estate sector by considering the capital markets. The second session of the conference focused on the financing for housing sector and the role of the capital market. Amongst the discussants were the Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Frida Prempeh, Deputy Minister for Finance, Charles Edubuahin, and CEO of the Ghana Home Loans, Dr. Dominic Edu. Answering a question on what more government can do to make housing more affordable, Frida Prempeh advocated more local content for the construction of affordable housing units.
In our part of the world, we are still using our traditional, conventional way of building, still making work very difficult for us to bring down the costs down. So we're trying to move away from our traditional way of building and also incorporating local materials into our building industry. Ghana is blessed. We are endowed with a lot of resources. We have a lot of wind, we have a lot of timber. There are all the things that we can talk about. And yet we cannot bring down the cost of building because of financing, because of land issues. So if you're able to run around for get financing, I believe we'll be able to bring down the cost of everything. Bank interest rates also can be able to bring down the cost of building.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, during the presentation of the 2019 budget, revealed that an amount of 40 million cedis has been released for the pilot phase of an affordable housing project at Asokore Mampong for 1,030 housing units. Deputy Finance Minister Edubuahin assured that government will ensure the fund is used for the intended purpose.
Government goes in and puts in the infrastructure. We get a company that says all your role is to go into these areas, put in the roads, put in the infrastructure, put in the drainage, and maybe charge a service fee every month or every year from the homeowners once the developer has built the properties. Then we remove that cost from the developer's pot and put it into the pot of what we call an infrastructure developer. And that's his whole role. His whole role is to put the infrastructure in place and we'll factor it into a service charge. He gets paid back over 10, 15, 20 years. So that's how we can ensure that we can reduce prices and affordability.
In other news tonight, some players in the hospitality industry are calling on government to reduce the total number of taxes they pay for the operations. Currently, restaurant operators pay as many as 10 different taxes and levies to various government agencies. Executive Officer, Chief Executive Officer of Prime School of Hospitality and Culinary Arts, Prosper Kumi, says the development is driving a lot of industry players out of business.
Value-added tax, tourism development levy, food and drugs authority levy, standards authority and music levies are just but a few of the taxes and fees paid for restaurant services in Ghana. In all, practitioners are operating under the burden of 10 different taxes and fees. Aside that, utility bills are said to be taking over 45% of the operational cost. Chief Executive Officer of Prime School of Hospitality and Culinary Arts, Prosper Kumi, said the development is running businesses down.
If you want to look at the hotel industry, for example, to get one restaurant operating, you need to pay to over 10 agencies every year. And that's heavy on us. And the VAT environment is not very easy. We know it's the law, it's necessary, but most of the items we buy for the restaurants are not having the VAT input. So you end up either overpricing your food or moving yourself out of the market. And once you overprice, many people are not coming into your restaurant because the chop bars are still operational and they compete fairly with the...
Tourism consultant Nana Bawedu said governments should be considering giving the industry tax reliefs.
What the government has to do is to identify the importance of the tourism industry and do a lot of waivers. Let the district assembly stop troubling people with tax. They cannot go out there and raise revenue. So when the tourism industry is doing something, then they all come in, jam the industry, and it doesn't go anywhere. Give the tourism industry right now a break. Stagger the kind of taxes you want from them. But if for the next 5 years, you say the restaurants should pay probably about 25% of what they pay, they will invest the rest in hiring people. They will invest the rest in improving the infrastructure in the restaurant areas.
Speaking at the launch of the Prime School of Hospitality and Culinary Arts in Accra, Manager of Operations at the Tourism Authority, Michael Pingbi, spoke of government's plans for the industry.
Okay. Yeah, previously until 2011, there used to be an incentive of tax relief when you are importing any facility that you want to use to improve your facility in Ghana. There used to be some kind of waiver of tax. But then 2011, government budget did not make it to kind of continue. Government, we are still looking at it as an agency under the ministry, working around the clock and see whether government can bring that back. In addition to that, we met with the operators. I was part of the committee that, sat with them, listened to them, collate all, have the catalog of, taxes that they kind of put on paper. It doesn't lie within our power to say that don't pay this, don't pay that. But what we did was to collate them and make some suggestions as to how to get, either to synchronize them or to have a way of government coming in to see which of them should be what. That's exactly what we have done so far. So
the Prime School of Hospitality and Culinary Arts is the first of its kind in the country and aims to cater for young school leavers and untrained cooks on the streets. The school offers courses including food production, housekeeping, front office, and short courses in kitchen operations.
The Ghana Investment Promotion Center says it will be recognizing innovation under this year's Club 100 Awards. According to the CEO of GIPC, Yofi Grant, this is to encourage local businesses to be more competitive by leveraging technology. Mr. Grant has been interacting with my colleague Sheila Tamaklo ahead of the 17th Ghana Club 100 Awards.
Is that even globally and everywhere, and the history of economics tells you that innovation is a very important construct in moving the world forward. And almost every progressive move that has been made in the world has come from innovation, and innovation that has resulted from disruption of the status quo. So for today, for example, print media is not as dynamic as electronic media the world all over. I mean, the time it takes for some piece of information to hit the public on technology is almost instant. But if you look at print, you have to go do the typesetting, get the data, do the editing, and then print. So by the time the newspapers come out, the information there is already out there. Major disruption of it. I mean, even transportation, to do with Uber, major disruption of, but these are all innovative things to make life more progressive, make life run quicker and more efficient and effective. So it's important for us that we still highlight on technology, we still highlight on innovation and entrepreneurship. Indeed, what we plan at GIPC, our next move, is actually to do an innovation fair. And get all the young people who have great ideas to come and show them. And invite investors, invite the banks, invite corporates to come there.
We are stressing.
All right, the 17th edition of the Ghana Club 100 Awards takes place tomorrow, Friday, under the theme Technology, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Opportunities for Growth and Job Creation. You're still watching Business Live. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with more.
Welcome back to Business Live, and to our big story tonight. The National Communications Authority, NCA, has sanctioned all 4 mobile network operators in the country to the tune of 34 million Ghana cedis for core services to customers. The 4 are Tigo, Glo, MTN, and Vodafone, and Airtel Tigo, I must say, actually. And so Let's see. Tigo actually was, Airtel Tigo was 111.6 million, and then Glo had 4.4 million, MTN had 9 million, and then Vodafone had 8.8 million. So how are you receiving this news? Kofi Kapito is the Chief Executive of the Consumer Protection Agency, and he joins me for a discussion on this development. You must be a happy man.
Oh, I am happy when the people who are supposed to do business based on the laws don't do it on the aspects of the regulations.
Right.
That the regulator cracks the whip. This is not the first time. I think it's about the third or the
It's about the fourth time, actually.
The fourth time
right.
that this thing has happened. I'm sure we are happy because that is what would make the telcos sit up and then adhere to the regulators' standards that the issuance of license was given to them.
Okay,
so I am happy.
You're happy, okay, right. So what do you make of the amounts involved here? I said earlier on, Tigo Airtel received 11.6 million, and then Glo had 4.4 million, and then MTN is 9 million, and Vodafone was 8.8 million. What do you say to critics who are saying that this is too harsh, considering the time that they have been given 30 days to pay the...
It's not harsh. If they think it's harsh, they need to write to the regulator and ask for extension. I'm sure they will listen, they'll be reasonable. But my biggest issue is all this, and we've always asked NCA, you are collecting this on behalf of consumers.
Exactly.
People who actually went through the wahala and the troubles. My question is, how does it benefit me who was somehow affected?
Yeah, that's a question a lot of consumers have been asking.
Remember the reason why Airtel Tigo is paying more because of their recent
issue where
challenges with their, when they said they were merging and their systems could not port everybody automatically. I am sure that is what contributed to the higher fines. But my question is, some of this money should be directed directly to the benefit of the consumer. I'll give you an example. NCA can say that we will use some of the money to assist government, especially the municipal and district assemblies, in terms of making availability areas for the telcos to be able to deploy their sites and all those things, the digging of the holes, of the lines. All these things can go in there, but I don't think NCA will give the cash to us.
Yeah, I was coming to that. A lot of consumers have been questioning that because in as much as we want to see an improvement, anytime they find these telcos, we want to know what the monies are used for, because at the end of the day, we come back to the same issues. Conditions don't change. So do we know what the NCA uses this money for?
What I know is it goes into government's pockets.
To fund things outside the telecom industry?
I'm assuming so, because you see, we have a country where everything goes into the consolidated fund.
Right.
Okay. In other jurisdictions, institutions are given their own source of power to collect revenue. If a fine is collected from for NCA on behalf of consumers, I think it's proper for NCA to use it to benefit the subscribers who use these various telcos. But you live in a world that even if you ask a question, sometimes getting an answer is very, very challenging. But I'm happy that the NCA has decided once again to crack the whip, and I'm urging the telcos. You see, there's something, if you do what is called self-regulation, if you regulate yourself, the law doesn't come after you. Complaints, compensation, your mobile phone goes off for a whole day, a few hours, and they tell you they will give you 5 Ghana to be used on the same network within 24 hours. To me, it's a little bit below the belt. So maybe we can encourage the NCA that maybe they need to see how compensation to the consumer will be improved.
Right. Over the time, we've always, as consumers, what role do we have to play? I know in other jurisdictions, consumers can take these service providers to court, but that's not been done here. I've not seen any bold move to hold these telcos accountable, go to the law court to sue them for not giving what we are paying for.
Well, I took MTN to court some time ago, way back.
And what was the outcome?
Well, the outcome was, as usual, delaying the court systems. It gets to a point you give up. You see, we need to have a court that will be more proactive.
Right.
Not this old standard that two lawyers will decide when the judge should be able to hear the case. And that is the delay in our court systems. Some of these things needs to be taken to the small claims court. It doesn't have to be tied up in the main court. Even NCA can even set up a court, okay, for arbitration, or even to decide whether I'm due some compensation or not. So all these monies, I am sure I will engage NCA and say, listen, the consumers wants to know. Yes, we collected the money on our behalf. We want to know how it's going to benefit us. If you can't give us the money, let's see how it will benefit us. Maybe through education, public education that they will do for us to be educated more, for us to be able to know where the NCA officers are, to know which number to call, and all the complaint channels that one needs to go through so that the consumer will be empowered.
All right, so we said about 4 times already we've seen these sanctions on the telcos. Nothing has really changed. If you ask me, in my opinion, we still have bad networks. Well,
I don't think it's fair for
maybe,
us to say nothing
so I
has
said
changed.
in my opinion, maybe I'm not supposed to have an opinion, but
no,
again,
you're entitled to it.
Yes, but again, I want to ask, beyond finding these telcos, what's the way forward? How differently should, you said we should know where the monies are going to, but how differently should the NCA be tackling the issues with the telcos so we can have improved services going on?
You see, in Ghana, one of our major challenges with the telcos is infrastructure. It's infrastructure that some of them has actually pumped money in expansion. Even sometimes when they do, it is challenging. Look, let me give you a typical example. Some assemblies see the telcos as a as a cash cow. Why does the telco has to pay for some licensing at Ochemberiate, the same thing as in Accra? Do you so the local government system needs to come into play with NCA and say that there's a flat fee in terms of maybe putting up a site and everything at the assembly level. We cannot have this thing that people hold them hostage, because if they do, you need your mobile or your call to go through, but because the network is not available, it's challenging. I'm not trying to hold brief for them, but sometimes these are some of the things that makes their business a little difficult. I'll give you a typical example. We should have a way that we should have maybe a tube, a tunnel that all our cables are going through. Ghana, you lay your cable. Tomorrow, another company comes to lay its cable, and they don't even know that your cable is already there.
A whole lot of confusion
in the
system.
Your cable, so you have to go back. So all these things are the ones that are making them a little difficult. But to me, like I said, NCA, yes, it's good. You find them, let us know how the money is going to be.
All right, thank you very much, Kofi Capito. I'll personally be following you to know what these monies are used for by the NCA, but that's how we wrap up. Personally, I don't have a good network in my house at all, so I'll be following this story to the conclusion. And my name is Sandra and that's how we wrap up today on Business Live. I've been doing this with Darryl Kwa. Have a great evening, and for more news, do log on to myjoyland.com/business. Thank you for watching.